You can join us live for our next BookFunnel webinar. Check out the link in the description for more details. We hope to see you there. So today, folks, in this session, we're talking about delivering author audio commentary that readers crave. For those of you who maybe have never considered this, I think this is a real opportunity for authors, in particular indie authors, to connect with readers. We'll be talking about some of that today. I've got some bullet points to go through, and we'll get through to some question time at the end. I'm going to save some time for that so we can have a little bit of a discussion as well, because I honestly have more to say beyond the bullet points on this topic. But this is something that I want you guys to when you go through this, maybe you'll get to the end of the presentation. You're like, you know what, that was really cool. I don't know if it's for me though. That's totally fine. We recently had a guest on the podcast, the BookFunnel podcast. This episode hasn't been released yet, but we had Russell Nolte on the BookFunnel podcast. And he kind of talked about this thing where you want to have like layers to your marketing efforts. And whatever those layers are, for the most part, it doesn't matter. Like obviously there's some ones that are basic, like you should have a newsletter. Most every author should have a newsletter. Like that's common knowledge. Right? But like it's a question of, should you do social media? Right. Well, I don't know. Should you? Maybe you do. Maybe you should. Maybe you shouldn't. I don't think you should just assume that you should. And likewise with this, commentary might sound really interesting and it's something maybe to check out and play around with. Maybe it really jives with you and you try it and you're like, man, this is great. I love it. I really engage with my audience. My audience loves it. Or maybe you try it and it's not a good fit for you. My whole purpose of presenting this here to you is so you have all the facts going into it, not to decide for you whether or not you should ultimately do it. Okay. But I'm going to give you all the information ahead of time. I really try to avoid pushing people to do everything. There are a few things to me that are kind of like really important that everybody should do. But beyond that, when I'm talking about these types of ideas, it might not be a good fit for you, and that's totally fine. So what are we gonna cover today? Well, let's talk a little bit first about like what is an audio commentary? What are we talking about here? Let's define the terms a little bit so you guys know what I mean. However, I'm going to be talking about this more from the basics, a starting point for most of you. There's definitely some advanced applications here, some advanced ideas that you can take and run with. And we'll get to that at the end, where I do have a master list of commentary ideas for you. We're going to talk about why you should bother with audio commentary. Like what's the perk to it? What's the benefit of it? It is easier than you think. So we'll talk about that, how you can easily record and distribute these commentaries. I'm going to give you a basic commentary structure as well. So if you've never done this before, you have a place to start from. If this is something you've done before, then obviously you can kind of adapt that structure to your needs. And then how you would go about implementing this into your author business. We'll talk about that as well. So first, what is an author audio commentary? What are we talking about? Well, first of all, this is generally a short audio recording where you share insights around your book or chapters. Many authors will probably do this. There's a number of ways to do it, but you can do this chapter by chapter. This can be tricky sometimes if you have a book with lots of chapters, right? Or maybe shorter chapters. You may want to, group them together, do a commentary that covers a few chapters. But this can be a companion to one of your existing books. If you have, you have a book with, say, 30 chapters, 30 author commentaries that you can create if you wanted to. Now, you could instead do just a commentary for the whole book. In that case, it might be a little bit longer, right? Rather than doing it one chapter at a time. If you did individual chapters, those recordings would be shorter, right? But however you slice it, right? That's generally what we're talking about. You're talking about the book in a number of ways. And we'll kind of get to that here about what you could talk about. So you can cover inspirations, behind the scenes stories, some of the challenges you faced maybe in writing that book or writing that scene, and some hidden details, maybe some things that the readers missed or what have you. So there's a lot of stuff you can include even beyond this, right? And then it sort of works like a director's commentary, if you will, but for novels, adds additional depth, personal touch. This also works for nonfiction, though. I don't have this here in the bullet points, but if you are an author of nonfiction, a commentary to go along with nonfiction actually can be very helpful indeed. Right? So this doesn't just apply to fiction. It can work for nonfiction as well. So why should we bother with audio commentary? Well, the first thing here is the personal connection that you build with your readers. So Hearing your voice, it makes readers feel closer to you, all right, as if you're sharing the story right across the table from them, so to speak. And that intimacy keeps them engaged, right, beyond the page, beyond just reading the book. That can keep them engaged. Well, I want you to consider here that the personal connection for independent authors, and not even just independent authors, maybe you are traditionally published, but maybe you have a smaller audience. This is a big point of leverage for you, right? Imagine somebody like, say, Stephen King. We're going to do, I don't know if he has or has not done audio commentaries on his novels, but if he did, right, of course, there would be loads of people who would want to hear that, right? But whether or not he would actually do it is the question. And many authors who are big names, right, don't necessarily go this extra step because they don't really have to. But you, being an independent author, can very easily. This is low-hanging fruit. So readers are going to be attracted to the idea of being able to form a connection with an author that they enjoy, or they enjoy their work. So this is something that you can leverage, because not every author is doing this, and it's so easy. Honestly, it's very easy to integrate into what you're already doing. It's also unique content, so it gives your fans something that they can't really get anywhere else. They can't get this from anybody else in most cases. And there's some exclusive extras that make your books feel special. Think about the reader's experience, right? So they read your book. And in fact, like I'm going to use my wife as an example here. Honey, if you're watching, I love you. But there's a particular series, a particular author that she loves. And she devours absolutely everything that author has created. She's read the books multiple times. She's listened to the audiobooks multiple times. Right? Like, she's gone through the whole experience multiple times, and any additional unique content you can offer, right? For the people who really love your books, this is worth it. And then obviously loyalty and engagement. Readers will return when they know that you share these kinds of extras. This is something like this kind of qualifies as a reader magnet in a way. And if you guys know my definition of a reader magnet, it doesn't just bring readers to your audience, it keeps them there, right? That's what magnets do. And so commentary keeps them excited between releases as well. This is something, a great thing to do in kind of the downtime in between books. You can have something to release. Maybe it's not a full-blown launch, but you have something that you can release regularly in between content as it's coming out. And like I said, it's a reader magnet. I want you to think of it like a reader magnet, treat it like a reader magnet. Offer commentary is a freebie that can grow your list. You can put these audio commentaries in BookFunnel promos alongside your book if you want to. That's a great place to put them. But beyond that, you can post them anywhere and everywhere in the back matter of your books to help grow your list that way as an additional reader magnet or as additional bonus content. Maybe you make these commentaries available through your Patreon, right? For example, that would be a great place to put them. Right. And then with BookFunnel, you can securely deliver it while attracting new subscribers. It's easier than you think to do this as well. So realistically, anybody can do this right now. You don't need fancy equipment. Your phone or your computer mic is honestly enough. You want to probably keep the clips short, especially if you're doing chapter by chapter, right? Or if you're just getting started out, keep it short and sweet. Maybe you are doing chapter by chapter, and so it's a very simple roadmap, right? I'm going to do chapter 1, then I'm going to do chapter 2, and you can release them like once a week, and it's really not a whole lot of work goes into it. And so the return on investment is high, right? Because you're really not investing a lot up front, and you're getting potentially a lot in the long run, because this is content that you can use over and over and over again, and will continue to attract readers even after you've created it. You want to focus on being authentic rather than polished. So don't worry about little ums and uhs and things like that. Just be authentic. Come across as authentic as you can. That doesn't mean that you don't want to have a plan. That doesn't mean you just want to wing it necessarily. I have some recommendations for that we'll get to here in a little bit. Even if you didn't do it chapter by chapter, though, maybe you talk about a character, maybe you talk about a specific theme. There's a lot of ways that you can do this, but I would recommend, if you're just getting started out, keep the clips short. When you've gotten some experience and you've done this for a while and you know what you're doing, then you can come out with the full hour and a half long commentary on your latest release. You can do that then. BookFunnel Short Audio, obviously, is the feature that I would recommend you use with this. BookFunnel Short Audio is available on the mid-list author plan by default. It's a default feature on that plan. There's no upgrade in order to use the short audio feature. Of course, BookFunnel does offer audiobook distribution. That is an additional add-on feature. And if you have a lot of these commentaries and you eventually want to compile them into an audiobook format, you could definitely do that. But as you release them, I think BookFunnel Short Audio is made for this, right? It's very easy to share. They can listen to it right from the landing page in many cases, or from the thank you page if they have to submit their email. So it's really easy for them to listen to it in this way. And obviously you can do all the things with short audio that you could do with an ebook. Right? Collect emails against it, make it a part of a restricted page, send it with bulk delivery. You can do direct sales with this. Like the sky is the limit, right? One thing I will say with any audio that is uploaded, you just want to make sure that like the audio files meet the specifications for BookFunnel. Usually that's 192 kbps. So I do recommend, while you can record on your phone, probably easier to record directly into recording or audio recording software such as GarageBand, or if you're on a Mac, or Audacity, which is also, both of these are free softwares that you can download. Audacity would be for non-Mac users, or Mac users as well can use that. It allows you to export the file in a format that you can then upload to BookFunnel. So I want to go over a basic commentary structure. And I'm giving this here for the beginners in the room who've never done this before. What do I do? Like, what's my starting point? If you've done this before and you're a veteran and you're like, oh man, this is easy stuff, right? Then this is just a starting point, right? So you can adjust this to your needs later. And I have some ideas at the end. I have a master list of ideas that you can then kind of take and run with. And this structure might change over time, right? But this is a good place for you to start. So I recommend start with a hook. So quick story, question, a fun fact. You want something that's going to grab their attention. I recommend like avoid kind of the casual greeting, like, hey guys, welcome to another author commentary by yours truly. Like that can be kind of droning, and especially if they're going to be listening to these commentaries in order eventually, and everyone starts the same way, it can become grating. So try to steer away from that. I know it's very easy to fall into that. Highly recommend that you try to start with some sort of hook and then add context to that. So you want to explain maybe what inspired the scene, if that's what you're talking about, or the character, if you're focusing on that, or a choice you made in terms of storytelling in a certain context, to add context to that, and then make it relatable. So you want to relate that to your process, maybe to some of the research that you did or a real life experience you've had, We're authors. We know how this works, right? There's an infinite number of stories we could tell about, from a single chapter about what were we going through in life when we were doing that? What was the research that we were doing? Maybe there's a little tidbit that we can share. And then you want to wrap it up. And so we want to end with some sort of takeaway. And here it's not necessarily like a takeaway, like the lesson learned is this. No, just the information, the important information that you were trying to convey. And then a teaser is also a good thing, right? So keep them, this is a companion to go along with your book and you're doing it chapter by chapter, this is a really great place for you to tease the next chapter. And maybe that encourages them to read the next chapter if they're doing it that way, or listen to the next commentary, or whatever the case might be, or tease something that comes later. So including that also gives this feeling of exclusivity, like they're seeing behind the curtain, if you will. So I have an example here that I'll show. I'm just going to put this on the screen here. I'm not going to read through it. You feel free to take a screenshot of this, but this is not necessarily you don't have to copy this verbatim, right? But this is essentially a way for you to get an idea for what this might look like, right? An example of a hook, context, some personal insight, right? That's what it would look like. This is probably shorter than what it actually wind up being, but this kind of give you just a springboard for diving into this yourself. So I did want to include that. Now, working this into your author business, there's a few ways that you can do this. There's a few approaches that you can take. So we'll talk about that here, because you might be looking at this and thinking okay, well, I could use this as a reader magnet, but maybe it would fit better as something else. So let's go over that. So yeah, first and foremost, as a reader magnet, right? You're offering commentary as an exclusive bonus for newsletter signups, right? Maybe the first commentary episode is what's in your back matter. And then from there, they can get access to all the other commentaries as they're released. You could use a BookFunnel bundle page as well. If you're using BookFunnel short audio, and so you're linking to that, to a bundle page where all of those episodes are available to them to browse at their leisure. That works really well, whether you're doing a chapter by chapter commentaries or you're doing kind of topic or theme commentaries. They can browse that bundle page and then pick which ones they want to listen to, right? But that initial chapter can be the reader magnet functionally and get them to sign up for your list, right? And then, there's other ways that you can use it as a reader magnet. Beyond that, in addition to if you wanted to dress it up as a full ebook, right, as well. You could also do that. You can have this as an ARC team perk, right? So you could give early listeners access as a reward for being members of your ARC team. I wouldn't be like, hey, give me a 5-star review and I'll give you no, but like, hey, you're on my ARC team. So here you go. Here's some bonus content for you. That might be where this fits into your author business. If that's the kind of thing that you need, it's very easy to implement that. As a direct sales bonus, one thing we see in direct sales a lot, if you're going down the direct sales route, is bundling. Bundling. That's what all the big kids are doing these days, right? Or the cool kids, right? If you will, all right? They're bundling everything together. We have authors who are selling 40 books in multiple formats as a single bundle, and you buy the whole bundle. Right? Maybe it's their entire backlist. Maybe you don't have 40 books. Okay, I don't want to intimidate you, but whatever the case might be, bundle everything together. Bundled ebook and audiobook and author commentary. It's an additional thing that you can add to your bundles to add value, right? When you bundle those together. Patreon and subscription content. We actually did a webinar last month about fulfilling subscriptions. We've also done a webinar previously on Patreon. So if that's something you want to look into, like the nuts and bolts of how to do that, we have webinars on that. But this is great. This is great content to include there, and you can release it ongoing, right? So you can release ongoing commentary episodes as a subscriber only perk, right? Or a patron only perk, whatever subscription that you're using, you can use that along with that. And then social teasers. So share short audio clips on social media to spark curiosity and drive signups. So this would be something where you might not necessarily use like a BookFunnel landing page to deliver the audio. In this case, when we're talking about social media, maybe you put it up on YouTube. That's a totally valid place to put it. YouTube is probably one of the better places to do it, especially if you want to show your face. But then you could put it anywhere, any other social media platforms that you're on. And so it can act as content there on social media. And then maybe that content is even what gets discovered. And then from there, people find your books, if that's what you want to do. So these are a few different ways that you can use it. I'm not saying you should use it for all 6 of these. And I'm not saying that there aren't even things that aren't on this list that you could use it for. There definitely are. But this is just to give you a few ideas of how you could integrate it. I think if you're just getting started out, the best place to put this is as a reader magnet and make it this additional extra. This is something you kind of need to make part of your process, it needs to be a system. And so you record these commentaries on a systematic basis so readers know what to expect. I think that's what's going to make it the most effective, no matter which way you try to use it. But once you've done that and once you've got that system up and running, then at some point in the near future, you can be like, you know what? I could totally bundle this into my direct sales. I'm going to pivot to that. Right. And so I'm going to shift from using it as a reader magnet to now using it as this direct sales bonus, or I'll do something extra. Right. But you want to create kind of a baseline. If you've never done this before, that's probably the easiest place to start. That or social media, right? Like the social teasers would be a good place to put it. And keep in mind, reader magnet, again, to go back to my definition of a reader magnet, people have lots of different ideas of what a reader magnet is. It's not just to get people on your list, it's also to keep them there. So additional bonus content that you can provide to your existing subscribers keeps them on your newsletter, keeps them engaged in your newsletter, that sort of thing. So as promised, the master list of author audio commentary ideas. I'll leave this up here for a few moments so you can take a screenshot of it. I've got quite a few on here of all different stripes, a few different approaches, some of them that are a little bit more like direct and distinct. Right. So like if you love this recommendation where you recommend other books, films, or media that influenced your book or the particular chapter you're talking about, you could talk about some backstory bits, deleted scenes, all sorts of things. Links to this, by the way, I did see this in chat from Jim. Yes, I will include, sorry, Jim, I thought you were asking a different question. So I'm going to answer the question I thought you were asking, and then I will answer your question. I apologize. I will be including these slides with the replay link. So when you go to the replay link on YouTube, you will get the slides and you can get this list. But of course, you can obviously come back and download it, or you can take a screenshot right now. But yes, Jim, can you include links to commentary clips within your EPUB file? Yes, you can. Sorry about that, Jim. All right. And I think, yep, that should bring us here to the end. So, Kelly,
Hello.
what do the people want to know today? What questions do they have?
All right. Really, it's just a couple of questions here. If the chapter commentaries are released pre-release, do
Yeah.
they not become spoilers?
Oh, they could. Yeah. And it's up to you. I could totally see doing, like a pre-release commentary. There's a number of ways that you could do it, but they could become spoilers if you do them that way. So you may not want to. You might want to wait until
I
after.
was thinking about the early access model of like Patreon or like subscription services. So
Yep.
you could be offering that just to your subscribers.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. So yeah, it depends on how you're doing it. But yeah, there would probably be some spoilers in there. You might want to let people know. I mean, that would be a good idea anyway, just in case somebody stumbles upon the content and they have, maybe they haven't read your books before, depending on where you're posting them, or maybe they just haven't gotten to that part of the book yet. Right? So there's a number of things to consider.
Okay, so Millie is asking, this sounds like the clips are a separate item from your short story reader magnets, but can they be a part of what they get when they download your reader magnet?
So that's a good question. There are ways to do that. So what I would recommend doing, right, if they're downloading a reader magnet, like an ebook from your BookFunnel email collection page, there's a few places that you could put links to this commentary. You'd have to probably link to it. It would be the easiest way from an email collection page. You could do it on the thank you page. This is the page that they can view after they have claimed the book, but really it's probably best to put it in the front matter or back matter of that reader magnet itself. So they download it from BookFunnel, and then there are links to the commentary from there, right? So in that way, they're kind of getting everything from a single download, right? And then those links will take them to either you could have it go to a bundle page where you have all of the commentaries available, or you could make the commentaries available through individual links, however you'd want to do it. And each one of those commentaries would be its own landing page on BookFunnel. So they could, in theory, then download those commentaries if they wanted to listen to them on another device, or they could just listen from the landing page itself. If you've already collected their email, in this case, you might not need to collect emails off of those pages. You just give them the links and they can listen to them. And then it's kind of bonus content to go along with the whole experience of the book. So yeah, that's you can absolutely do that.
Okay, so where do we find the rules for the audio clip so that we can upload it without an issue? And I am actually going to drop that in here in just a few minutes and look for the files. There we are. I'm going to give you guys the short audio version. I'm going to drop that in the chat.
I'm actually going to.
If you can want to do I can do a full length as well.
So here we go. There we go. So this is, I'm assuming this is the link that you're going to share.
Yeah, that's what I dropped in. Yeah.
So this is the knowledge base article that Kelly just shared. So this would walk you through, I guess it's 128. I thought it was 190. Either way, right? The minimum is 128. Okay. I misspoke there. But obviously there's things like the file size and that sort of thing. The maximum length is 120 minutes. When it's spoken word quality, which is what you'd probably be using for something like this. So this article will give you kind of all the ins and outs of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you have the mid-list author plan and above, you have short audio already. So if you wanted to do a full audiobook, you would need to go to the audiobook.
Yes. And that's a legitimate way to go eventually. Maybe you do these short audio for now, and then once you have like a whole book's worth of them, right? Like if you have a book with like 30 plus chapters and you want to organize them into an audiobook, and then you're doing this for multiple books, yeah, it's a reasonable thing to do at that point. And so at that point in time, you might go and add on audiobooks then.
Okay. And then Fidel is asking if you'll go back to the example of the commentary that you had so that they could screen.
Let me, of course. Yes. Give me one moment here. It's in the middle of the slide before. I went too far back, but here we go. I'll leave that example up here.
Okay. Let's see. Jim asks, oh, wait, you already answered that question about the EPUB.
Yeah.
So Jim has another question. So if you put clip links in the EPUB, would each clip be a separate short audio book? Quotation marks. So it would be an audiobook.
Yeah. So if you're using the short audio feature, yeah, each individual commentary would have its own link. Keep in mind that an individual short audio file that you upload to BookFunnel can be up to 120 minutes in length. So you can like structure that how you want. If you want each chapter to have its own discrete link, its own discrete audio file and commentary, you can just have it go to one place. Should also be noted, it's very easy to also add links to those landing pages themselves. So while they're on the landing page listening to the commentary, there can be a link there to the next one. So once they get there, they can move along to the next one. That's also very easy to do. But yeah, if you wanted to
Okay.
pull them all into 120-minute long commentary, you could just do it as one. Just depends on how you structure it.
Okay. And again, Jim's asking, that is, can you reference a particular chapter in your commentary, short audio commentary audiobook? Like create a link to a particular chapter. I think you answered that. Okay.
Yeah. So you can include links in EPUBs and they are clickable depending on where you'd want to put those. So if it's for a particular chapter or there's a particular place in the EPUB that you want to link to that, you can do that. It's just a matter of when you are editing your master file before you compile your EPUB, hyperlink text or put in an image, whatever it is you want to put in there, whatever it is you want them to click on, and then embed the link in that image or text. And that link will take them to the BookFunnel short audio page where they're going to access that content or the bundle page or whatever it is.
Okay, so Dina is asking, can you show us an author who is currently using short audio?
I don't have one pulled up and ready to go. I know that Kevin J. Anderson has done this sort of thing. I don't have anything I can pull up at this moment because generally we don't do that without permission from the author. But he does use BookFunnel to actually what he does is, for those of you who aren't familiar with Kevin J. Anderson and his process, he dictates, but he dictates into an audio recorder. And so he takes those audio recordings of him like literally writing, and then he shares those as content through his Kickstarters. And he uses BookFunnel to fulfill those. So yeah, there are authors doing this sort of thing. It's a little different than like what I'm suggesting here is kind of a basic first step because not everybody necessarily dictates like that. But that's an example for you of somebody who's using the feature.
Okay. And then Robin asks, can you please share again the name of the software programs you mentioned for audio recording? And Fidel answered, but it might be good to.
Right. No, I'll mention it just in case anybody missed it. So if you're on a Mac, GarageBand comes by default and it's audio recording software, pretty basic, does the job. You can export in the formats you need. And then Audacity, spelled like the actual word, is another free software that you can download. It is compatible with Mac and Windows, Linux, I think, for those of you right? Or for whatever, I think it's universal. So, and it's also free. And you can record directly in there and then export in the proper format to upload to BookFunnel. And if you record on your phone, you can always transfer those MP3 files over to your computer and then put it into that software and then export it from there. And usually that's fine too. So this is a fun idea. This is something I've wanted to talk about for a while. I want to thank you guys for being here and listening to this. I think what it comes down to is that this is really low hanging fruit. I think the main thing I want to get across to you guys is however you go about doing this, it's very low hanging fruit. Not many authors are doing this. It's a great way for you to develop a personal connection with readers. BookFunnel gives you the tools to make it work for you as well. And think about it. If you have a chance to sit down and chat with your favorite author, right? That's the kind of experience you want to give your readers. And for indie authors, that's something we can very easily do. And so that's an advantage that we have. Even or smaller authors too. I want to say, unless you're a huge household name, I think of you as an indie author. Because even if you have a publisher, you're an independent author anyway. You've got to do a lot of your own marketing yourself. You've got to do all that work yourself. So it's not as if, right, your publisher is doing everything for you. And so this is something you could very easily do and add on to what you're currently doing. Maybe, like I said at the beginning, maybe it's not a good fit for you though, right? Try it if you want to see how it works, see if your readers respond to it. Like any other system, it's going to take time for you to see, right, to get the payoff, right, to see the benefits. So don't think that you can just release one of these and like you're going to strike gold. No, you probably want to be consistent about it and do this on a regular basis. So consider that as you are diving into this. But if you have any follow-up questions, of course, feel free to reach out to us. Support@bookfunnel.com is where you want to reach out, and we can answer your questions, any questions you might have there. So, all right, if that is it, I think we will wrap things up from here. I want to thank you all for joining us.
Thank you for watching. Check out these other videos from BookFunnel, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.